Hello and welcome back to Wyvern-Hearted Ink and Friends. My name is Claymore, and today I am doing something really fun that's kind of inspired by a lot of the TikToks and Instagram Reels I've been seeing a lot lately, which is an art year in review. It's something that I've been thinking a lot about. Like, I want to do this as a tradition, just to help myself see how far I've come, what I've done in a year, how productive I've been. I realized that over the last several years, because I wasn't really considering my art a professional thing that I was pursuing, that I was not looking back on that stuff, and I should have been. So anyways, today we're gonna go over a little fun year review of my art and how I've grown. And I'm hoping that when I compile this all together, it's going to be pretty interesting. So anyways, without too much more babbling, I am going to show and go through some of my stuff. I'm going to try my best to keep it in order by a time period, but I may mix things up because I go back and forth between different sketchbooks a lot. Just depending on what mood I'm in or how available certain things are to me. So yeah, anyways, we will start with last year's sketchbook. I had to finish the sketchbook in order to start the 2022 version. So near the end of 2021, I did a little bit of a TikTok series. I didn't finish it. I was gonna do a 12 Days of Christmas, but like a 12 Days of World Building. I think I got a few parts in. As I'm notorious for, I don't finish series that I start. I mean to, but I tend to lose steam very quickly for things unless I'm really passionate about it. So I did not finish this. But after the 12 days, I believe that is when 2022 started, and I started making art for that specifically. I think one of the first pieces that I did in January was this Morrowind little journal art piece thingamabob. Morrowind is and was one of the first like real video games that I played as a kid. I think I played it when I was like, I want to say 5 or 6, I think is when it, because it came out in 2000, came out in the early 2000s. I was born in 96, so I was very young, but I was always intrigued by what my dad was playing on the Xbox. And so it was one of the first games that I really got into. So I did a little traveling back in time and played a little bit of Morrowind and was painting stuff. I wanted to do like a gaming series, but I've just never committed fully. So if you guys want that, let me know. I might do it. Just depends on how many commitments I'm making this year. I don't know. So anyways, a lot of the last couple pages of this sketchbook are planning pages for my comic, because I was finishing up the re-illustration. I was just doing like the last couple pages, and then I started the first couple pages of the second book. So that was happening right around this time. I also did some self-portrait experiments and eventually made this self-portrait of a makeup look I did, I want to say early 2021, late 2019. I'm not exactly certain. I think it was done in the spring though, because there was a lot of sunlight on me. I did a lot of goals stuff, goal-oriented, made more D&D characters as usual. That's just a standard in all of my sketchbooks. I did this piece, which is based on the art piece of God and Adam touching fingers, but this is obviously my comic book character and the demon that she makes a pact with. So this is sort of a little fun thing that I did, edgy, you know. And then I did another little comic that was to another TikTok audio. This one, I'm trying to make sure that I don't remember the audio for it, but I will put it here somewhere because I thought it was pretty good. And it really fit the character very well. And that is the end of this sketchbook. And this sketchbook ended... Well, I forgot to write the ending date, which I'm notorious for in my sketchbooks. I usually do a inner cover image, and then I do a starting date, and I try to always do an ending date, but I tend to forget my ending dates because I tend to not finish the last page of any of my sketchbooks. I don't know, there's something intimidating, and like there's also an aspect of I want to start something new. So that tends to be my issue. Anyways, after I finished that one, I started a new sketchbook, which is a much smaller sketchbook. And you may have seen me paint the cover of this on TikTok. I really enjoyed making the cover. I've been trying to stick to creating the covers of all my sketchbooks. It kind of gives me, well, one, I like to do my logo in some sort of form as my cover, and I feel like it helps me see how much I've grown each year and for between each sketchbook. So like, for example, this was the cover of the previous one versus this. So like you can see I made a lot of growth. I changed a lot over that 1 year. And that's a thick ass sketchbook. So there's a lot of progress made between that one and this one. This I started February 20th of 2022, and I ended it in early September. And then I desperately went to go get another sketchbook because I wanted to start Sword Timber. But a lot of this sketchbook, I spent time on working on more backstory, reworking character designs, just doing a lot of work on world building for my comic. I think a lot of the pieces came out really cool. I came up with other races for in my comic series that I will eventually expound on. But yeah, I had a lot of fun designing some different characters, and I got really inspired by a lot of Pinterest stuff. So that was that. Obviously, I make a lot of a lot, and I mean a lot of D&D characters, so you will see characters sporadically throughout here that have no link to anything. They're just for fun. I would love to play them all, but I just never get the chance to. So I did a little piece for King by Florence and the Machine. My roommate was absolutely obsessed with the song and was playing it like every day, so I ended up doing a little piece about it. I think it turned out pretty cool. I did my Say Gay piece comic. I talked a lot about the homophobia that I experienced as a kid, and this was right around the time I came out as non-binary for my 25th birthday. And I talked a little bit about being demisexual and just sort of it was a big growing experience for me. It was a big independence jump to be like, you know, I don't want to live in the shadows anymore of that experience. I don't want to pretend anymore. I'm tired of pretending. I just want to be myself. And not that I was never myself, but just that I wasn't honest about who I was a lot of the time. And I really struggled with not being honest. It gave me a lot of anxiety, and I still hold a lot of that anxiety because I'm always nervous about people finding out. And I don't know, I've just gotten to this point in my life where I don't want to be afraid of other people and their feelings about me, because I don't think it really should matter, to be perfectly honest. I did a piece of Aniva in the clutches of the Prince of Lechery. I really love how this turned out. I really want to turn this into a sticker. And you will see some of my other sticker designs that I came up with. That was kind of something I did at the end of 2021, but then I didn't actually end up getting those stickers and fully designing them digitally until, I want to say, like spring of 2022. So yeah, you'll see some clips of that stuff. This is going to be a whole lot of editing hell for me, so I hope you guys enjoy. I did some draw this in your style stuff and some experimentation with more character design. Oh, this was an art piece I did inspired by the same TikTok audio that I did my prior comic to. This song just really stuck with me, and I really loved the lyrics of it. It meant a lot to me, so I did a lot of art to that that particular song. It's called The Fruits by Paris Paloma, if you want to look it up. I eventually did a redesign for Savella because, hint hint, I was starting the second book of my comic. I was starting to illustrate it, and I really wanted to redesign her. I'd come up with several designs for her, but nothing really like fully said, yes, she is the bad bitch that will literally, she's a man-eater. She is not, she's not just a idea. It's not just the idea of eating men. She's literally a man-eater. So I wanted to come up with a really beautiful design for her. And around this time, I started getting the idea to do a backstory comic on Ilseat, which is the grandmother of Aniva. And so I did some different little character design concepts of like how her character would be in different situations. And surprise, surprise, I ended up starting that comic. And I just now am getting to the point where I am able to color those digitally because I finally have a tablet. And so yeah, I'll be sharing some of that stuff too. Very soon. Funnily enough, around the time that I was thinking about doing a video about hating limited color palettes, a limited color palette challenge showed up in Twitter. It was the Cartoon Network OC Palette Challenge. So the color choices available to people to draw were cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And it was supposed to be a lineless design. I am terrible at doing anything lineless. So it came out pretty muddy. I think if I did this digitally, it would have worked a lot better. It would have been a lot more cohesive and understandable. But yeah, maybe I'll retry that design now that I have a tablet. And then we get to Gay Pride, and so I did a bunch of designs. I did one for just the general gay flag. I did the pansexual flag. I did gender fluid, trans, lesbian, asexual, bisexual, and non-binary, and all of those I did in individual shorts, both on YouTube and on TikTok. So if you want to watch those, you totally can. I will probably put snippets of them here. Okay, so this one is really cool. I started coming up with a new story design, new story idea. I'm still not sure whether I want to do this as a comic or as a novel, because I really love the visuals of it, so I think it would be really cool to illustrate. It's just at this point in time, I have so many other illustrating projects that I can't dedicate myself to this right now, but I would love to in the future. So again, this is when I started working on my spin-off comic. So this was a concept idea I had for the cover image, and this is Ilsiet before she is transformed into the current demon form that she possesses. She's kind of like a Naga, sort of. I believe there's another name that is more similar to her design, but I can't remember it at the moment. So that was one of the cool design things I did. Obviously, I did a lot of pages over this year of that spin-off comic, and I will be probably doing a video very soon of all the speed paints of each of the pages. That should be a really fun thing to share with you guys. If you want to see the speed paints now, or at least some of them, I've only completed 2 of the pages so far. So if you want to see the speed paints of those, you can go check out my TikTok. I will be posting them to the YouTube shorts, so you can find them there as well. But I will eventually compile all of the speed paints once I am done with them, and then be doing a review of my tablet. I am so excited with how they are turning out. So yes, back to the sketchbook. So this is around the time that Roe v. Wade was overturned. I decided to do an art piece about it. I don't have to say the words. You can read them. I was coming up with ideas for what the spirit realm would look like in the second book of my comic. So I kind of had some general ideas. I wanted it to be kind of spacey, with Roman architecture, some overgrown ruins, and a generally like wonderlandish vibe with maybe like random ambient eyes in the clouds and things like that. And very like mood lit with reds and pinks. So that eventually led me to do the first coming back to YouTube video where I made this art piece. I am planning on eventually turning this into prints, but I want to edit it a little bit more digitally, and just bring it up to speed with what I'm currently making. So I think I am beyond excited about all that stuff, just in general. So that is the end of this sketchbook. This was quite a bit smaller than the prior sketchbook. Around this time, I finally got my first print designs and my first sticker designs. These are my print designs. If you want to check them out, they'll be at my Ko-Fi shop. I have a limited supply currently, just because that's what I'm able to afford at the moment. I think now that I have my new tablet, I will probably be reworking some of this stuff. Though if you want me to keep them the original sort of variation, I can do that. They just have a sort of rougher look to them just because they are scanned images that are painted and they're not digitally made. So they have a bit of a rougher edge to them because you can see the texture of the paper and that in the scan. Moving on, I haven't talked about this sketchbook, which is actually legitimately just a sketchbook. I do not have any pieces in here that are colored, because this is just a drawing book. So, as you can see, I have a ton of stickers on this book. These 3 are my designs that I came up with this year and that I got actually produced, and I have a ton of them, so if you're interested, again, they're at my Ko-Fi shop. I would love to do more sticker designs, but stickers are so expensive for how many you get, at least to produce them currently. I would love to do them if they actually sell, but currently the ones that I have haven't really sold very much, so maybe if I see more of an interest in that, I will design some more, but currently I am not designing more at the moment. But this was more of my world building journal. I think I started this not this September, but last September, and then I got back into it in 2022 after a while. I think I got into it around the time that I was designing and coming up with the spin-off comic. I did some concept art pieces for the goddess that Ilseat previously worshipped and worked with, and I did some prior character designs of what she looked like before she was transformed, and I did a lot of the planning out of panels and pages. I was really trying to get this done as quickly as possible, and as we can see, I don't work well under that sort of thing. I tend to not do well under limited time frames. So, I did not finish this. It is still currently not finished, but I am coloring the pages that I do have done, and I will be working on pages very soon, once I can finish that stuff. Around that time, that was when Stranger Things Season 4 came out, and so I, like most people, fell in love with Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, and I did a little mini sketchy comic of that, about my characters, Aniva and her mother, Ilivivia. And I would love to recreate that digitally, because again, I really want to sell the comics that I do to different to different songs, just using the lyrics. I'm not sure exactly how legal that is, so that's the only thing that I've been kind of waiting to try and figure out, because I'm not exactly sure how legal that is. I did some other cool sketches in this in September. Some more world building for the possible future comic that who knows when I'll work on it, but it's a sci-fi. And a lot of this is just planning out for YouTube videos, what I want to do as far as like a creator, how I want to go about getting further into making a living out of what I love. That sort of thing. I did some September concepts, and is there anything else? Anything else? A lot of character designs, because that's just who I am. There's a YouTube video concept that I kind of scrapped, that I may get back to in the future. It's a world building concept. A couple of the character designs that I did in this sketchbook happened to get a little blood on them. Our newest addition to our family is the kitten Leia, and she had cut her paw on our scratching post. We didn't realize that there was either a staple or something that had like been dislodged, and so it cut the underside of her toe pad. Poor Bean. And she ran all over my sketchbook with her bloody paw. So that's why that's there. Looks a little weird. It looks like just character stuff in here, and then like some YouTube planning stuff. That's pretty much all I really did in here. But anyways, that aside, then I got another sketchbook, like I said. This was early September. I think this was September 2nd that I started this one, or September 5th. September 5th. I have not done a cover for it yet, so that will probably also be a separate video at some point. I want to do, because like the inside is also my logo, but like a candied chocolate covered strawberry heart. So I kind of want to do this as like a strawberry bush, kind of like the Oni berry of Audra Auclair. She's one of my favorite artists, if you don't know. It's kind of inspired by her. But yeah, and then I have my Sword Timber designs. As I said, I don't do series very well. I got about 3 in, more like 2.5, and then I got really stuck on the concept of gears, and I just gave up. It took me like three days to work on gears, and I did not finish it because I hated the concept. I hated the design. I didn't like where it was going. I didn't know what to do with it, and just defeated me, and I just decided not to try and catch up with the rest of the prompts. So that's where that ended. I hosted well, it was supposed to be a one-shot, and it wasn't a one-shot. I hosted a D&D game on Halloween, or like right after Halloween, that was Halloween themed, and so that's where that character came from. And then I had the crazy Halloween night, or Hallows Eve night dream of a pixel art game that I wanted to develop. I still would love to develop this. I love the concept of it, but I have almost no working knowledge of how to make pixel art games. I have some working knowledge of how to do like 3D modeling and art design, and for those who don't know, I did originally go to school for game art at Full Sail, but about 3/4 of the way through my degree, I decided I hated doing 3D modeling and texturing, and it was an absolute headache for me, so I gave up on it and went to the degree that I originally wanted to do, which was writing, creative writing specifically. So I don't really have a way to make these real at this moment. Maybe in the future I will come back to it and work on it, but currently it's just a concept idea that I would love to create, but has nowhere to go. My fantasy drag queens, I did a one-shot just for me and my husband, just entertaining ourselves when we were without internet. I came up with a whole on-the-spot drag show that my husband got to compete in, so I thought that was pretty fun. Return Heat also did sort of a one-shot-esque thing, and that was the character design that I came up with for my on-the-spot character, Everly, who is a forest gnome. That is all I have in this sketchbook so far. Around, well, really recently, I think it was just over the first 2 weeks of December, I came up with the final cover designs for the first book of my comic book series, Harkøth's Blood, and these are the final back and front cover designs. I'm so excited. I just need to scan them digitally, edit them a little bit, add the text in it and everything, and then they will be pretty much ready to go. I've kind of been delaying because obviously I didn't get a tablet until basically Christmas. So I have been delaying fully publishing traditionally, that stuff. I've also been iffy about my choice in fonts that I used throughout it, so I may go back and change the fonts. I'm not 100% confident with the fonts that I originally chose, so I'm probably gonna do a run back through and figure something out that works, that I feel like is going to suit the series but also not be too terribly difficult to read. My problem is that I don't like the standard text that everyone uses for their indie comic. I like something that's a little more intricate. I like things that feel a little more period-esque for the fantasy Renaissance sort of style, so that's part of the reason that it's been taking so long. outside of that, I don't have anything else in sketchbook form. I did complete like 2.5 larger art pieces that I did this year that I'm really proud of. I finished, well, okay, so I did a watercolor piece several years ago on this channel that was a recreation of a piece that I did in high school. That was one of my best pieces, which is a little cringy to say now, based on the level of style and understanding that I had at the time versus now. But we can only make improvements, so it's really cool to see. And I finally found a frame that was large enough to fit that piece in it, and you may or may not have seen that YouTube video that will be also in the cards. You can go back and watch that if you want to. I started working with this frame and DIYing it to really suit that art piece. That is not finished, but it is halfway in between the place where I want it to be and where it was. So I'm excited about that. After that, or maybe it was before that, I can't quite remember, I did my I Hate Limited Color Palettes video, and in that video I painted over the top of an old painting that I did a year or two ago. And it was just like, my mom just gave me a couple paints and wanted me to like create a piece based on some piece in one of her art books that she had. And with what limited stuff I had, I did. And I really kind of hated it because it just felt so basic in comparison to most of my artwork. So I completely redid that piece. Really, really love how that one turned out. Probably of all my pieces, that one I want to sell the least, but I still want to sell it. Those pieces are available on my Ko-Fi, as well as my experimental piece of the DIY frame that I did for a piece from 2021 or 2019, or I mean 2020. It's from one of those 2 years. I don't quite remember exactly when I made it, but I think it was 2021 that I made the art piece originally, and then I didn't get a frame for it until this year, this summer, and I DIY'd it, and just, I don't know, I had a lot of fun with it. So there's that piece that is also on my Ko-Fi, and then the last big piece that I created of this year is the giant eyeball, which I really loved how that turned out. It was a complete and total experiment. I really didn't know what I was getting into. I was just wanting to try air dry clay, and I've always loved mixed media, especially with like bigger canvases and stuff. So anyways, I really love how that turned out. Again, another one of my pieces that I'm like, I don't want to necessarily let it go, but I would also love to sell it because I would love for it to go to a home where it's absolutely appreciated and loved on. So anyways, that is available through my Facebook Marketplace. I'll eventually put it on my Ko-Fi. It's just been not absolutely the priority of what I've been doing right now. So anyways, with all of that, I think that is the entire year concluded for all of the art that I did this year. I went through a lot this year. I went from working at home through a writing gig to being unemployed to working at a factory where I was doing screen printing. And I loved working there until it caused me to have a lot of pain in my hands, and I was really struggling to keep up with drawing and doing what I loved versus making money. And eventually I decided that it wasn't worth it anymore, that I hated making money at the detriment and the loss of being able to create what I loved. And so I left that job and I've been unemployed since. We are in dark times economically. So, you know, it's okay. I make money here and there from little side projects and things. And I'm currently looking for a job, but this is what I love and what I want to make my money off of. So if you want to support me, you totally can. You can check out my Ko-Fi. Like I said, you can get merch there. You can also just support me with like a couple dollars for this month or whatever. You can also join my Patreon. I haven't been posting a lot to that lately just because I only have one patron, and she really doesn't check it very often or care. She's a close friend of mine. So outside of that, I hope you have enjoyed. If you don't have money to spend on me, I totally understand. Again, we're economically in dark times. So if you just want to support me in some other way, share this video or like some of my content, share it somewhere, you know, like if you know someone who would be interested in buying some of my stuff, let them know. And thank you so much for sharing this probably very long video with me. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'm so excited to see what I create next year. So I hope you guys join me in my journey, but until then, I will see you all later.